Welcome to the Business Boys Talkin-Business Virtual Power Lunch. Please welcome your hosts, Tyler Price and Brian Magleby.
Hey, we are live.
Back at it. Good to be back with my brother Tyler.
Not doesn't suck, right?
Wow, yeah, you sucked as you were in Florida all last week.
Yeah, it's pretty cold here in Idaho.
Yeah, sucks to come back to reality, doesn't it? I remember that back in February, so it does. But yeah, you came back to some wind. Yeah,
a little bit. Man, getting back here last night, it was the wind was blowing. So.
Yeah. You felt it on the airplane ride back into town?
It was bouncing around a little bit.
Yes, it was. I had one of my most eventful flights over Malad, and man, I went, papers and computers and everything went everywhere. We dropped like 20 feet. It was one of my most eventful flights I've had. So good. But welcome back from Florida.
Yeah.
We missed you last week. We had Mayor Mark Carroll from Blackfoot.
Blackfoot? That's good.
He was a great, talked to us about some great things happening in Blackfoot, and so we had a good conversation with him.
Yeah, there is great things happening. You got Premier Technology down there. You got some expansion.
Get Found First. Yeah. We got the Blackfoot Triathlon coming up.
Yeah, the Cocoa Bomb guys down there too.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention about him. So we've tried to get a few others down there, but. Anyway, it was a good conversation with Mayor Mark Carroll. He's got some exciting things happening there in the city of Blackfoot. So excited about the show today. Look at this.
Yeah.
If people's mouths are not watery, let's just flash that.
Yeah. I'm going to lick the frosting off and let you eat the
heck you are, because the frosting will be gone when I get that fork in there. So Mrs. Powell's Bakery. They've got multiple locations here in eastern Idaho. And she brought that for me. It has my name on it somewhere on there. If not, I'm going to write it on there.
Yeah, well, it's a meal in and of itself.
It is. We're going to talk all about cinnamon rolls today. Plus, we got training at the end of the show on 10 reasons you need a business coach.
Wow. Yeah, and Amy has a business coach. I know that because I talk with her on other stuff. But so that'll
we'll
be good to get her insight too. So
very good. Well, we've got.
Bless you.
Well, I've got a little cough that keeps coming back, and it came back last night in vengeance. So, so we've got a QuickBooks class. That's the last class of the spring.
Wow.
Starting next week, and Jared Blackham is our instructor for that. It starts next Wednesday, and guess what?
It's full.
It's filling up. It's getting. We like to have about 10, 12 people in that, and I know we're at least half full. And if people that say they're going to take it get signed up, it'll be getting close. So anyway, get registered now. It's only $199, and it's the cheapest QuickBooks class around here. And let me just tell you the reviews that we've had on this. I think this is his 7th or 8th time he's teaching the class. He's never not had a 5-star review. Yeah,
double negative there. So that's a good thing.
It is a really good thing. And I try to compete with him. I've even tried bribing some of the classes that I've taught.
And
I still can't get all 5s.
Wow. You're pretty close though.
Yeah, close. But man, I can't knock Jared off his pedestal. So if your business needs QuickBooks, uses QuickBooks, it's 5 classes, Monday and Wednesday evenings at the Innovation Center. It's an absolutely phenomenal class, and if you want some referrals on some people that have taken the class, we'll show you all of his 5 stars. So he does.
And that one typically fills up. So if you're needing QuickBooks education, you better get signed up for this one.
It is. It's a great class. So can't talk enough about the QuickBooks class taught by Jared. And by the way, he's going to be our guest next week.
Wow. On the tax time.
That's right. He's a CFO for hire out there, but he doesn't really focus a lot on taxes. But I figured next week, taxes is going to kind of be on people's minds and what they can do to be better financially. So he's going to be talking all about that next week. I'm excited to have him on the show. He's quite dynamic. So
hey, we got some sponsors.
Ooh, let's talk about them.
Yeah. Well, Volpine, I mean, they do a great job, I think, with our website.
This is how quick he responds. I called him and said, hey, our countdown on our website's off. And he said, I'm on it. And I hope he got it fixed right before. But that's how responsive he says, I'll be on it right now. And that was 5 minutes ago. Hopefully it got fixed before the show started today. But but he's just so responsive. He just knows what he's doing. Brian at Volpine Marketing. We've got New Line Media. Tell him all the things that.
Well, I mean, Tyson you need drone footage, you need videos done, you got marketing, I mean, the kid knows what he's doing. He's doing this show just out of the goodness of his heart, quite honestly.
We're in his studio today. We got this beautiful green screen behind us, but you're seeing the falls. But he does great work. New Line Media, encourage you to look him up. Social media or his website, New Line Media. And of course, the BBSI. Can't speak enough about them.
Those guys, yeah. I think everybody, as you start to launch a business or if you're in the middle of a business, knowing kind of what you're going to do through the time. And that's one of the many things that they do. They do HR, they can do your payroll, they can help you hire people, they can do coaching, but they can also look at how do you exit your business at some point. That's
absolutely
the dream,
can't speak enough about BBSI. The staff they have there, second to none. I'll tell you, that's great staff. Of course, the SBDC. We're going to do some little coaching on why your business could use a business coach, and we'll be highlighting the SBDC and of course the Idaho Innovation Center.
Yeah, which again, just done great things here in the area. If you're an incubator, you got to come talk to, if you're at the beginning stages, I think you should come talk to Brian. And can you talk about the kitchen and stuff yet?
We'll be coming with some new things. We'll be introducing some things coming up in the future, but
I won't mention the kitchen.
Big things happening. Yeah, you don't mention that kitchen.
We're not going to mention the kitchen.
It's a commercial kitchen. But,
that's it.
Oh, we did say it,
okay.
But it will be coming out in the future. So, so very good. But we appreciate our sponsors. Couldn't do the show without them. And so we're going to transition right to a quick 30-second video here. That will, if your tongue wasn't salivating at this cinnamon roll, after you watch the video, you will be definitely hungry. So watch this quick 30-second video to introduce Mrs. Powell's video, and we'll welcome on Amy Romrell, the owner of Mrs. Powell's Bakery. And we have one cinnamon roll here, but did you see that platter? I think multiplied by 12 would be, or by 11. Having a dozen of them would be just even better. Wow.
Yeah. Good stuff. How do you even say, I want to go buy a bakery and do this? Because you had some background in catering and things of that nature, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I was bored.
Yeah.
And so 5 years later, here I am. I definitely got, there's more to it than I anticipated. And I was like, my youngest was about 15 and I needed something to do. The kids didn't need me quite as much as they did in the, previously. And so I thought, maybe I can have this lifelong dream of having a bakery. And boy, do I have
5 years later, here you are. So And we just might pull this up here and just if you had brought a fork with this, I guarantee Tyler and I would be
you'd be
right
hoovering it. Yeah.
We got to keep this away from Tyson because otherwise he's going to be coming up here and getting it.
Oh, he's got forks.
Oh, bring it on, brother.
Tyson's like, here, hand it to me. Let me cut it up.
Good. Well, I can tell you that if you can't tell, I'm a connoisseur of some of the Mrs. Powell's Bakery. I was telling her before, I said, you got to stop making those huckleberry cinnamon rolls. Absolutely phenomenal.
We're not going to stop. We can't stop, won't stop.
So the huckleberries are a hit at my house. In fact, I was telling her that just like at Christmas time, I surprised the family with what they call, is it a family?
Right, the family roll. It's like this big, bigger than your face.
Let's just say one cinnamon roll that's about this big, and that lasted us all weekend long.
Yeah. So, that's nice. So when you were doing your catering, that wasn't just the sweets though, right?
No, yeah, it was savory. I did a lot of like weddings, and I had a luncheon that I did, once about a quarter, and yeah, so it was just very, very part-time, and I was looking for something to keep me a little more busy.
Yeah, and how did the opportunity even present itself then?
We found out that it was for sale, and we had a little bit of a bumpy start. We had partners initially, and they were very dishonest people, and that lasted for about 3 months, and we were able to get them out, and unfortunately there was some debt that they basically stole money from us. But we were able to get them out, and then I've been running it ever since on my own.
And it's just been easy, dreamy, and everything.
I just sit back and cash checks.
Yeah, just like all the other small businesses.
Like every other small business. Yeah. It's been a process.
What have you learned from being, growing your business from just doing some catering to having 3 full-blown retail stuff? Well, what have you learned from that?
It's complicated and it's not complicated. So it's not complicated in that you have to pay your bills. That was one of the things that my partner wasn't doing, and we discovered that he hadn't been paying rent, and he hadn't been paying the utilities, and he hadn't been paying our vendors. And so you have to pay your bills, and then you have to charge enough to cover those bills and pay your employees, and put a little bit in your pocket. And so that's not terribly complicated. The complicated part is speaking to your customers and bringing them in and trying to do marketing, and that's the constant that everybody's trying to figure out. And then you'll figure something out, and then it changes, and so it's just trying to adapt to the market. I've had 5 years of experience to varying degrees of success.
And you, so one of the things that I bet you changed is that a lot of this baking goes on during the night.
Correct. Yes, we start at midnight for the cinnamon rolls, and so that can be a challenging position to fill, because not everybody can do, their bodies don't actually work in that respect, working at night and sleeping during the day. I'm doing a lot of that. I'm the trainer, so because I want it done my way. And so I'm the one that when I have a new employee, I step in and I'm training. So I'm kind of in that mode right now, but I've got some really great people on board at the moment.
But when you started, it wasn't, you have 3 locations now, but it wasn't 3 locations.
Right, so, it was just the one in Ammon when we started.
And then you said, I'm going to grow this thing, and let's go do this.
I had an opportunity to add these other 2 stores. So we have one in Rigby and one in Rexburg, as well as Ammon. And so again, it was something that I really wanted to expand. Rexburg was a market that I thought would be good for us. And then Rigby kind of came along with that. And so I took the opportunity, and that it was interesting, going through that as well, because having the one location that had been there historically, it's the original Mrs. Powell's location. And so there's a lot of muscle memory that people remember. And when they come back to town, when they don't live here anymore, they go to Mrs. Powell's and they have to have their cinnamon rolls. And so building it in 2 separate markets where they probably heard of us, but, don't have as much experience. That's been interesting.
I just warning you, pay attention during this interview, because she brought us a gift card.
Wow.
And it is a nice gift card. So, we will be giving this away. So pay attention. There will be a trivia question.
There's a test.
At the end, we will be spoiling someone with some Mrs. Powell. So talk to us about the various, are all of the, do you have everything available at all 3 locations?
We do. Yeah, we have our cinnamon rolls, and we have several different flavors. You mentioned the huckleberry. We have raspberry and orange as well. We do a cinnamon twist, kind of for people who maybe don't like as much of the frosting because it's just glazed. And we make our big originals, which are about a dinner plate size. They're pretty big. That's what I brought here. And then we have a mini, which most people, they see the mini and they're like, that's the mini? That's normal size. So we do that as well. I like the maple, so we make a cinnamon roll and frosted.
Oh, I have to admit that I may have tried a maple.
That's what my go-to if I'm going to have one.
Yeah, but it's not just cinnamon rolls.
No.
So tell us everything that you do.
So we also do sandwiches. It's kind of a build your own, add what you want to it. We also have some grilled cheese. We do a gourmet grilled cheese line, and those are really good.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. We have Also, we make soup fresh every day, and it's not just open a can and add a little bit of extra stuff to it. We make it from the ground up. We make them from scratch. So I'm really proud of our soups. We also do sugar cookies. Those are fairly famous as well.
Yeah.
I know your wife Allison really likes those sugar cookies, right, Tyler?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's frosting.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest frosting fan. I like scrape the frosting off and eat just with the cookie. But I know that a lot of people love that frosting.
Yeah. No, she likes to do things in our school, and we get several dozen for the student body and stuff like that at times. So yeah.
We love to help you guys with that.
So when you took it over, then did you just keep everything the same and just start, like, what was that process? Because you're the third owner or fourth
I want to
owner?
say maybe fifth.
Fifth owner.
I think.
Okay. So to me, that kind of says people buy it, well, not quite what I want, and then they try and sell it, right? So what are the things maybe that you've changed because nobody else expanded it? So you've gone now. Maybe that's crazy on your part. Maybe it's
it probably is crazy.
but it's a good crazy, right?
It's succeeding. Yeah, I go to the Rigby store all the time.
Yeah. So. And what have the changes been? Maybe even in the cinnamon rolls themselves, or in the product itself and the processes.
When I stepped in, I and this is going to sound maybe a little elitist, but I have certain standards that I want to reach, and it wasn't really there where I wanted it to be. So I kind of monkeyed with all the recipes. Yeah. The frosting is totally new. The frosting is my recipe, and we went through a lot of development to get it to that point. And I wanted the dough to be a little softer. I wanted it to have a little more salt. There were just some little refinements that we made to the dough. So I feel like it's a higher quality product now. We use only cane sugar, which I occasionally you can't get the cane sugar and we have to go to the beet sugar, and it's fine. You might not notice the difference, but I notice the difference, and I think it's a better quality product because of some of those changes.
And what are some of the challenges that come with a higher quality product, though?
Well, it costs more.
Yeah.
So, it's probably, I would say, 20% more for the sugar than to buy the cheaper beet sugar. Yeah. So my costs are higher, and, we use a lot more butter than the previous owners did. And so butter is 3 times as much as margarine, for being honest. So it would be easier to just cheap out and go margarine, but I won't do that. I think it tastes terrible. So yeah, we use butter.
Yeah. And then what are some of the processes? Because it is, and I'm a fan of acquisition.
You just keep asking questions.
Brian's gonna
stuff. So I'm busy right now.
So acquisition to me is a better way to do it. My wife and I have always done startup mode, which is hard, but in a sense, you bought a footprint and then changed a lot of it, right? So, but what has been, I guess, in the expansion? What's made it so that you have been able to handle that? Because you're still one person, right?
Right.
But you got to have a good team. You got to have all these things. But
for sure,
what's allowed you to expand like that?
3 fantastic managers. So I have a really good manager in each of my stores, and they are trustworthy, and they are loyal, and they are all really good bakers. And so they have all of those items that I need, and we all get along really well, and they believe in the vision that I have for this business. And so that without those 3 managers, I have fluctuation with my bakers and whatnot, and that's just going to happen. But those 3 managers have been with me the entire time since we did that expansion.
That's invaluable.
Yeah. So why do you think that is? Because we've even talked a little bit in trainings about maintaining, your workforce and the people, your key employees. But why are those people so, hey, I'm sticking with Amy?
I wish I had their input for that, but I think one of the things that maybe they appreciate is that it's a collaboration, that I'm not like, nope, this. In some ways, yes, you have to do it my way. But if we want to develop a new product, for example, we have a new bread that my Rexburg manager has been working on for a few months, and we just put it out in our stores recently, and it's a cheddar jalapeno bread.
Oh, wow.
And it is fantastic. And she said, what do you think if we did something like this? And I was like, go and develop it, and let's just see if it works. And it took her a couple of months of making a batch, and then when she had time, she'd make another batch and refine the process until we got it to where it was really, really good. So
Yeah.
I just had a sample of it before I came over here.
Yeah.
we did a grilled cheese with that jalapeno cheddar bread.
Sign
So
me up.
good.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah.
Wow. No, that's amazing. Because
You
again,
just keep asking
yeah,
questions.
I mean,
I'm just going to turn this interview over to you, Tyler.
well, but you've done the startup when you were
Right.
doing your catering.
Yeah.
And then you went to acquisition and growth. And I think people that are looking to get into business need to understand those two things, is that you can start it up, but there's a lot of issues that come from startup, and then there's some issues that come from acquisition.
Sure. Yeah.
But you've been able to successfully say, okay, we've done the startup. So what would you say to somebody that's looking to get into business, startup or acquisition?
The benefit of the acquisition was that it was a turnkey.
Yeah.
So Mrs. Powell's had been in business for, I think, at least 30 years. I want to say it was the mid 80s when
Wow.
Mrs. Powell's first started. And so, it was turnkey. They already had their fans, and there were people in place. And I think it was just a natural turnover, that the way I managed my vision of the business was different from the previous owners. And so we did turn over most of those employees.
Yeah.
But you can kind of hit the ground running if it's already going.
Yeah.
And maybe, you want to make a few changes like we did. We made a few refinements. We added a few things that weren't historically being done. And then you have to continue to grow, and then people have to trust you and your management. And so you still have to talk to those customers, but it does allow you to kind of hit the ground running. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So there's a much higher cost
Right.
to
And
do
one of
that.
the things that I've noticed difference is that you have got a great automation there. Before then, they had this old register, and you've automated things with the new checkout things, and it's just amazing technology that you've got involved there. So and that doesn't come cheap. It's
Yeah.
but
Everything has
it's
a
so
cost.
you can tell the difference when an owner invests into that. So one of the things you said was one of your keys to success: persistence, adaptability, and willingness to learn.
Right. I think those are the three keys, and I think persistence is probably the biggest one. Just not giving up, and I've had those moments where I'm like, what am I doing this for? I've just worked at midnight, and then I had things all day, and I didn't, 48 hours and on 4 hours of sleep. And that's terrible, and you can't do that consistently all the time. So I've definitely had those moments like, why am I doing this? But stopping those thoughts and figuring out how to solve the problem and being persistent. It's slow growth. I think many times people see something that's highly successful, a big company that gets sold and they make millions of dollars, and they think, oh, overnight success, and I can do that too.
Yeah.
Well, what you don't see is the 10 or 15 years prior to that, where they were grinding the whole time, and they were mortgaging their house, and they were in debt, and they were living with their in-laws to get to that point. And that persistence is necessary.
Wow.
Yeah, one of the things that she goes on to say is the key to my success is sticking to it and looking for and taking advice from others, which is kind of what we're going to talk at the end of the show on, who have experienced all that I haven't. Not all advice is worth taking, but there are many people that can teach you the things that you need to know when you're a beginner. So that's great that you're open to that kind of advice, when you are. Tell us about what's the future have for Mrs. Powell's?
With these two stores, we've been about 2.5 years in on Rigby and Rexburg, and so we're kind of at that point where we're gaining some traction and everything is running a lot smoother, and that's about where we were when we added those two stores with my first one with Ammon. And so I really want to just not open another store immediately, at least. I do feel like there's a possibility in the future that we might expand into other markets. What you're talking about with Blackfoot, I think Blackfoot is definitely an overlooked market. I kind of learned that with Rigby when we first, and don't hate me, Rigby, but I live there now. I'm a local.
You're a local.
But when we first had the opportunity to take Rigby and Rexburg, it was a package deal. It was like she said, it's both stores. You got to take both. And I was like, I don't want Rigby. It's too small. It's not a big enough market. What I didn't realize is that they really wanted some options, and they didn't have them. And so we've seen extraordinary success in Rigby, and people have just been very, very supportive. So.
And we need a sit-down restaurant. We'll give a plug.
Yes,
for
we do.
Family sit-down restaurant.
Absolutely.
We do need that in the town of Rigby. So,
Yes.
so this is where you're at. There may be another location coming up here. We don't want to talk you into it, but we love entrepreneurs that think that kind of way in advance. That it takes some time to do that.
Yeah, for sure. And I have learned a lot by doing this, buying two other people's, I bought out the assets of another business to do the Rigby and Rexburg locations. And so, there are things to think about in each of those cases. And now that I've done that twice, bought somebody else's, they decided to buy this mixer and they decided to buy this oven. And so, maybe I would have done something different. And now that I have this experience, I would, set up something else differently.
Yeah. So do you feel like if you were to say, okay, I'm going to grow,
right?
Do you feel like you would look at Idaho Falls as another location, or is it just to keep going into the bigger cities in eastern Idaho?
I definitely think we would go to other cities. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
almost grabbed that off the.
Yeah, I grew up in Pocatello, and I remember Mrs. Palace. So Mrs. Palace actually was franchised back in the late 80s, early 90s, and it was all over the country in malls. It was a mall,
wow, I had no idea.
Food court business for a long time. And so I remember it in the Pine Ridge Mall in Pocatello when I was in high school and college. And, so I kind of had that nostalgia for Pocatello to bring something there.
Yeah.
And like I said, Blackfoot, I think would be a wonderful place to have a business like this.
Yeah. So what's your advice to people that are kind of sitting on the fence or maybe looking to get in? Because, you do kind of spell it out here, but
sure.
But yeah, what are the things, because you had kind of a happy life. Your husband, you supported him through college, and that's paying off for you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But so you didn't need to do this.
No.
Right? But you did. So
but
here you are.
Yeah.
Now, what would you say to somebody else that's maybe looking at getting involved in business?
Well, I think my early experience with having a partner was a product of me not having the confidence to think I could do it myself. And so once I had to do it myself, I realized it's not that hard. Right. It's not that complicated. You just need to continue. And I think my suggestion would be, if you really want to do this, you can do this. Yeah. You don't have to have a business background. I don't. I have an English degree. and I really like to bake. Yeah. And I'm making this work, and we're doing well. And so I think if you want to do this, you can. You're going to need some advice. One of the early people that helped me was my accountant. I went to her. I'm like, well, she's in business. She probably has some advice, and she's the one who kind of planted the seed that I needed to investigate my partner.
Yeah.
And so I credit her with a lot of the success that I have. And I go to her a couple times a year, and I hug. We hug when we leave. She's very, very supportive. And so to find somebody in your corner that has some business experience, that has some expertise, that can help you, and even like channel you to someone else who maybe has more experience, I think is key. And you probably know people that would be willing to talk to you if you ask them.
Yeah. That's what I see a lot of, is that people want to help. And then, there's paid help, and we're going to talk about that here in a minute. But I think overall the SBDC is a great resource. The Idaho Innovation Center is a great resource, but so are the small, medium, and large businesses that are in eastern Idaho. They will. Yeah. I see the owners of those businesses talking to people on a regular basis. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask a question. You're open to take a bite. Here's a spoon if you want to not use my.
I don't have a problem with your germs.
So tell us, how did COVID affect your business?
That was really interesting. In Idaho Falls, we saw a lot of people very, very supportive. And if you remember that.
Whoa, time out. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Dude, you call that a bite? That's half the freaking cinnamon roll.
Yeah.
You feel good about that?
I do.
All right.
You feel
Sorry
very comfortable.
to interrupt you, but man, there went half my cinnamon roll. Sorry. Keep going.
Gone.
Yeah.
So in Idaho Falls, as you remember, not a lot of us stayed home. Yeah. And so there was still a lot of people, milling around, and there was a real big feeling in Idaho Falls that they wanted small businesses to survive through the pandemic. And so we did have a lot of really good support. And so Idaho Falls and Rigby were both, just as good as we would have expected without a pandemic. Rexburg was a different story because
when they shut the school down,
you know, we have two sources of customer base in Rexburg, and it's the locals who live there and it's the students. And, you know, we can't like really cater to only one or the other. We need both of them to succeed. And when half of our customer base left, you know, and they sent them all home, that was really tough. So we did have to reduce our hours, and we were selling, you know, ingredients to people who wanted to make stuff at home, and you know, we were trying to adapt to what was given to us. But that was a long, difficult process for Rexburg. But fortunately, Idaho Falls and Rigby were cooking pretty well.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Well, is there anything else that the audience here, besides to know how good this cinnamon roll is?
I'm gonna grab the middle of it.
You go for that. It's gonna be a tussle right here on the scene. So, is there anything else that the audience needs to know about Mrs. Powell's Bakery?
I feel like we covered everything. The thing that I like to always, you know, leave with people is that you really can do this. There's nothing special about me and my, you know, abilities.
I mean,
you're
pretty special.
Well, okay, yes, I am. But as far as like running a business, like if you want to, you can do this, and I'm happy to talk to anybody and give you any knowledge that I have. And it's very rewarding. It's very difficult. I wouldn't want anybody to get the wrong idea that it's not a lot of work and a lot of sometimes worry and sometimes stress, but it's very rewarding.
Yeah. Well,
wow.
Cool stuff.
Wow. Yeah. All I can say is that my taste buds are going wild right now with the
Go get
2 or 3 bites that I had compared to yours. It was by less than what your bite was.
No, I got after it. I don't mess around.
You don't mess around. I saw that. Enough that I would interrupt her in the middle of a sentence. So very good. We'll end with this this quote that you have here. I love this quote.
Yeah, closed mouths don't get fed. So
we know that. We've experienced that.
Yes.
So you said you're talking about paid coaching, and I actually have a business coach, and this is kind of her mantra. You know, if you don't know something, if you don't have something, if you don't open your mouth, if you don't ask, you don't get it.
Yeah.
So.
Wow, very good coming from Mrs. Powell's Bakery. So
yeah, it works on 2 levels, right?
It does. So very good. Well, we appreciate you being here, Amy. We wish you the best. I can tell you that I'm a frequent offender of your establishments, and love the work that you're doing. I love to see the growth. I met with Amy when she first bought the business, and that was 5 years ago this last month. And so to see her growth and success, and to see how she was able to acquire the 2 businesses up north, and to see her growth and her solid, steady, and the stores have developed. You've done some great work on the stores. You put your money, where it should be in the business. So I got to say that from someone that's watched it as an outsider, you've done very well, and we love to show those kind of people out on our show.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Good. Well, we've got a training topic that we're going to jump right into here. So 10 reasons that you need a business coach. So we're not here, just so you know, we're not here to make any money on this, because how much does the coaching cost at the SBD?
0. Yeah, $0. You just show up, and we'll help with where we can help, right?
Yeah.
That's great.
So we've got 10 pretty quick, reasons. And I got to say that the accountability, I put that at number 1. There's a lot of business owners like yourself, Amy, that you're not really accountable, maybe to your spouse, but and maybe your accountant at times, but there is no accountability of what you're doing on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. And the accountability is kind of what has been the big thing that in the companies that I work with. I have a lot of companies that I meet with on a weekly, a bi-weekly, a monthly, semi-annual basis and stuff, but they just need to be held accountable.
Yeah. Yep. No, that accountability is where action gets taken, and without it, what do you see in your personal coaching? How's that for accountability?
Yeah, that's key. I mean, that accountability, what I'm doing now, I'm meeting on a monthly coaching call that's online, and there's several of us across the country that are in the baking industry that are being coached by, these coaches, and they talk about what we talked about last time. They give us assignments, and they want to follow up, and they want to know, and these are all necessary things that we need to be doing. But even in an informal sense, I talk to Tyler a lot. We're in a mastermind group together, and he challenged me big time, and it was something that I was like, oh my gosh, he's right. And I made a change that has made a huge difference in my life and my business based on what he saw as a problem. That, I think sometimes we have these blinders, and it's like I'm focusing on the fire that I've got to put out, and then we're not seeing some of the stuff that really needs to be addressed.
Yeah. Very good. And you also, I understand, have a personal coach that you work with on weightlifting and stuff like that?
Yeah, Mike Taylor.
Mike Taylor, we'll give a little plug for Mike Taylor. So he's a business
Fit,
partner of mine, and so Taylor Fit, give a little plug for him. So
I was just there this morning.
Oh, good. Well, I was working out with him today, probably after that this morning. So
well, now you can eat.
Yeah,
there you go. You earned it.
I can finish having a couple more bites there. So, Mike, yes, I'm going to partake. So, achieve company goals. This is one of the big reasons that will help you. Like they said, usually a good coach will give you assignments, and you have to hit those criteria, and they'll follow up with you. It will help the company organization. When employees know that they're working for someone that's trying to make their company better, it makes the whole company better. But I spelled something wrong here. Follow the business plan. I think if I'm a business coach, I think I misspelled that. I got a little extra P in there.
Plan. Right.
So, but that's most coaches will help you follow some kind of. I can tell you, when I had my pretty large business with my cell phone stores, the guy came in and he said, "Where's your business plan?" And I said, "Well, I wrote it 3 years ago when I started my business." And he said,
"When was the last time you read it?" Right?
Yeah, and so he made me update that for years 4, 5, 6, and 7, and every year I would get that business plan out, and we'd update it and make sure that we were still on track hitting the company goals. So you want to take the next one?
Marketing ideas. Marketing is an interesting one because everything changes. I mean, if you look at where marketing is now for you, I know that you're running ads on social media. 5 years ago, probably not.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
And even us, when we first started our trade school, it was all on radio. Well, it's been, I think, 9 years since we ran radio ads, and people can still sing that jingle, but marketing, you better stay in tune, because I can't believe anyone still markets our Yellow Pages with Yellow Pages, right?
Mine's still wrapped up in the thing in my office. Yeah. It's the laughing stock because it's now about this.
Yeah, it used to be like, anyway. But marketing and I think just engagement with clients or customers, right?
Yeah.
Because as you said, when people come in from out of town, they're coming to Mrs. Powell's because of the experience of Mrs. Powell's.
Right.
And they're pretty freaking awesome.
And they're good.
Sandwiches and cinnon rolls and the whole bit.
Right? I think I'm going to go get that cheese sandwich, that grilled cheese sandwich. So unbiased insight, self-confidence, fresh perspective, balance, and growth. I just nailed all those. Meanwhile, eating another bite of my cinnamon roll. So.
Well, and something that Amy kind of talked about was self-confidence, because I think as business owners, there's that imposter syndrome. Someone came up with that. Maybe you can speak a little bit to that.
Yeah, I feel like, sometimes you go into a room in a networking, opportunity, and maybe your perspective, your perception of these people is that they're working at this level, and I'm just, what am I doing here? And I feel like that self-confidence is absolutely necessary. And I think if you are open to, like I was saying, in the quote that you read, if you're open to receiving advice and feedback from those people, most of the time, there are a few arrogant people that just want to hear themselves talk, but most people that I've interacted with in those networking opportunities, they have wisdom to share, and they just are they're just generous people, and they want to help you. And I think that part of the self-confidence, when you're talking to other business leaders as well, comes from they are having some of those same issues that I am, and we can talk, when you talk to other people, you realize, oh, I'm not a loser. Everybody struggles with certain things, and we all have these problems, and we can kind of help each other through that.
Yeah. Very good.
Very good. Well, thank you for helping us with our training today. Hopefully some of this, we've got an ad here at the end that's actually the state director of the SBDC And it's, like I said, free consulting, and it will show you, it has the website there on the end, that if you're interested in getting any business coaching for your business with the SBDC, it'll show you how to, the website to go to get registered on that. So thank you, Amy. Let's talk about next week.
Well, I think you got to give away her gift too.
Oh, we will. We will.
Okay, all right.
Coming. It's coming.
So yeah, next week I'm just gonna lick the rest of this to claim it. All right, go ahead.
All right, next week we got Jared Blackham, CFO for hire. He's with Crestworth Accounting. He's just a genius when it comes to financials. We're probably going to revisit the training we did last week on how to understand your financials, and we'll probably bring that one back and let him explain it, because I'm at probably a 20% of his level of understanding what financials are. So at best 20%. So anyway, we'll be talking all about numbers and getting ready for the big tax week deadline of next week. So we thought that'd be a good topic. So by the way, how many years, but you want to put my phone number up there, Tyson? My phone's going to get lit up here. It's a pretty easy question. So there was they just celebrated. Yeah, really. You're gonna,
am I out of the running?
They've been in business for how many years? I'd like to know one of two numbers. How long has Mrs. Powell's been in total? She mentioned that, or at least a roundabout number. And then how long has Amy herself owned Mrs. Powell's here in this area? And if you want a bonus, how many years has the other two stores that she expanded on there? So I'd love to have any of those three numbers. So Glenn Guzman, go to town. I'm sure my Glenn's
going to be first one
lighting up. So thank you everybody for joining us on Talkin' Business. We appreciate you being here. Tune in next week to Talkin' Business, everybody.
Yeah.
Here's the thumbs up. This is our final thing. Thanks, everybody.
The Small Business Development Center is a statewide network made up of professional consultants in 6 locations throughout the state. Companies come to us with a felt need, and our goal is to help them reach their core need. Once we determine that, that's when we start to see companies prosper.
The SBDC helped us start, hands down. Having the tech center, having the resources from the SBDC helped us start our business, and we couldn't have done it without them.
The consultants of the Small Business Development Center are professional executives, CEOs, entrepreneurs themselves that really can relate to each of the small businesses to help them achieve their goals.
They got to know our business, inside and out. We told them everything about how our business works.
I feel like the interest that he showed too gave them a little bit more of an idea of where we needed help in.
The resources being tapped into my executive team, who themselves tap into SBDC almost weekly to gain information and knowledge base that becomes very instrumental in us making the right decisions.
We measure success by the success of our businesses. We really are industry and professional agnostic. So our goal is that if we can help those companies grow and thrive and expand, then that's success to us.